da mo sesa bodi mafide na to ana mo ne ye betina do hwe ba ko ede enu ye ka se bo awse mo fa so no so de ma ye no ene ye de e ba beso mo ye ka mo se ye ka se bo social media handles how do ni nyina no etwegu e wo DSTV channel 360 afede edi makutin bi ene se ene da yi wo ma agent tie ye prison pedifo agent tie no pedifo aya mamre ada wo madi
na ye kasa die o mampani be de trading nsem bi atodwade o kan ni na ne se wo se wo ye Ghana ni die a wo bi ehia se ye de eye ebuo na afei ekwan ya ye de nipa efa so no ye de ema wo mu esan se wo bia e deserve se wonya sade no
donc wo na se badwam pani a woda ma no me kire minority leader e de to je kire mu se wo di aban ho ya usan se road fund board no bepem ne wontumi nte
nanei MPB wo MP a wo okai kwei e de atodwa se wo sra da se ba ye kwan a ehu hia se ye bekwa akọ hia aman foforo se wo mu bra mbeboa ye san se ye wo eniema se yanka se ye de ye ni toso a ebeboa ama ye kwan a ye no ye tumi aye amana ye yi
ense bi ka ho ne de esom ye ka mo se ye bo afọ ye special eyes this way need fufu ni need abekwan afi responsible saloon so mo ena ebo America sebo no ebremu ya yeso mo na nwumre ye me eja kwabena mene
nana ekia kobi
Africa sebo ne musam nie Ghana Prison Service impeding for adadwumadi bi adi na ni nyina ne se empedifo agent tie wo prison adwuma ku no mu no ye senior officers no ene ye amamre adwo mu nyina atumu na adwumadi na se no Ghana ba pen in the Ghana man penny abedi akire obefuji na opoku ageman afisem so afudo nyamfo Muntaka Mubarak ana fi kwanchefo penny a oda prison service ano eye owura yere patient bafu boni na ehweye masa empanifui wo mu nyina esuaye ewo enkra
of President Mahama's reset agenda, the Ghana Prison Service has launched the Think Prison 360-degree initiative, a project to transform the service into a modern, secure, and self-sustaining institution. Well done. It aims to build a technology-driven correctional system that contributes to economic growth and national development and reshapes public perception of the service. The strategy rests on enhanced welfare, mechanized agriculture, industrialization, enterprise creation, and sustainability initiatives. Initiatives are underway to create the conditions for large-scale manufacture of textiles, furniture, sanitary and construction products, therefore creating jobs and expanding internally generated revenue. These ventures turn incarceration into innovation and provide inmates with real skills, work experience, and hope for reintegration into society. The service has also launched the Prisons Improvement and Sustainability PESWA Fund. Citizens, institutions, and partners are invited to invest in rehabilitation through this platform. Every contribution, no matter how small, is a statement that every life can be rebuilt. To Officer Cadet Intake 32, we expect you to serve with integrity, compassion, and discipline. Your calling rests on both justice and humanity. Remember that you contribute directly to national peace and security. These new resources will be used wisely, and we urge you to continue to uphold the service's values of discipline, humanity, and excellence. Now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I have this particular honor to declare Officer Cadet Course Intake 32 duly commissioned in Senior Officer Corps of the Ghana Prison Service. Let us build a correctional system that enforces the law while uplifting lives. Let us envision a service that transforms confinement into opportunity and punishment into purpose.
adehima ma yesre mu yenya we sunu ye ho me kase bo no so yesre mu ye basese a
Adeshimama we de damase say yekoto nkra no motwen ye kakra ya be ye to amoso.
Na omampani be de akire Her Excellency Prof Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang wakasa wo prison service cadets intake no ase no wodi to dwa say wonipa bia eye Ghana nipa bia hia say ye kire wo mo odo na afei obuo biara ese se ye de manipa bia no ese ye de ma wo mo ni chichu ene wo ma wo mo wo prisons.
We are here today to commission a new generation of officer cadets who have chosen a path that is not easy, but demands courage, empathy, and endurance. This event also reaffirms our dedication to building a humane, secure, and reformatory correctional system. The government has been resolute in strengthening the prison service because an effective and well-resourced correctional system is the backbone of public safety. Through sustained investment, from improved logistics to long overdue increase in the daily feeding allowance from 1 cedi 80 pesos to 5 cedis, which has been approved for implementation, government is restoring dignity to our correctional system. Every Ghanaian, regardless circumstance, deserves dignity, care, and humane treatment. With this increase, over 14,000 inmates will benefit from more nutritious and decent meals. Government is committed to deepening this progress in the years ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency the President's recent amnesty for 998 inmates is a powerful statement of mercy and a reminder that true justice requires compassion and a belief in second chances. His act also forms part of our broader effort to decongest our facilities, enhance humane conditions, and uphold the spirit of correctional system. Our agenda for sector reform and modernization remains on course. Over the next fiscal cycle, the Ghana Prison Service will benefit from infrastructure and capacity building support. These investments will empower the service to deliver on its constitutional mandate of safe custody, humane treatment, and reformation in line with international best practices. The ongoing retooling efforts will improve operational efficiency and the welfare of officers as well as the dignity of those in custody.
Nipa bone for di etuo ekọ nkrofo krumu koye bone mechire terrorist oba Africa na se bibi mato ha ti se Nigeria Boko Haram for no mu di nyasam kotoro akra se isi kunkum nipa na nyagro enye ho nkwa mia hodo bebre Burkina Mali bo nyina so ha no mu obi ne bi no mu kire se kebma mika bi a ye practice e wa ha no na mana kokobasa na so Professor Vladimir Nchidanso e da tudwe kire mu se enye nokore da biara da de tia mana kokobasa ne se amemu aye mu ni yie no ende de so ha no ba
say who can terrorism am say bibi me ha especially West Africa sub-region no e ho na ne headquarters wo more than about 56% e wa bibi me mo ha ye man ye hu terrorism ti I say ya relax kakra ye different terrorism dey wo amanone enyanru ye ha if you say ye shall say can say see something, say something. I say to yakoda. Now so terrorism no oba unkuta franca. Terrorism bra we ni now so especially governance system no etochi pepe ungoverned spaces be a poverty ni we schools ni hospitals ni ade ni ho na local people no against the government it mean the terrorism ba efe bebia ntoko esi se boku sei ana se dagbon ebetumi adane into a terrorist camp nti yɛhwɛ ni na wokɔ baabi te sɛ Norway Scandinavian countries no wosɔ television apɛpɛ na ɛbɔ kɔkɔ bibi dɛre ɛkyɛ sɛ ɔmo ka news na kɔsi baabi ne yɛyi film bia kɔsi baabi a na bɔ kɔkɔ about terrorism yɛhanom de yɛka see something say something na ɛno ano no TV station bia ni hɔ a ɛbɔ yɛ kɔkɔ yɛsrɛ ɛsɛ sɛ yɛhu sɛ terrorism this 21st century deɛ atena fa baabi a me yɛnka sɛ yɛ Ghana deɛ yɛho tɔ yɛ ɛna afei yɛnhwɛ ne yɛhu sɛ ɛnyɛ democracy na ɛpam terrorism. Don't make a mistake say yɛde yɛwɔ democracy nti terrorism ma democracy does not stop the bullet nti yɛnhwɛ ne yie sɛ na yɛ democracy no bad governance na de terrorism ba nti yɛ democracy no ɛno ani good governance ana meme deɛ daabi there's a difference between good governance and democracy nti yɛnhwɛ ne yie let's build good governance. Let's make sure that people have their human security of food, clothing, shelter, jobs, and that sort of thing. And to me, and way there, then the democracy and no answer. Let's force our government to do the right thing. Yeah, dear, and say you got to abandon it. Nya koya, you got to abandon we and you choose to abandon ye niaji. And yeah, no here. Here is so obiara woman. Ewan human security. Say one sources of income the bad thing, but. Osha oko bank say ya and maybe why you busa any idea to make sure say funds no we are not supporting terrorism and no yeah but say modernization abana the use of ICT globalization abana the transfer of funds is so easy we bet not transfer carefully baby aba we sabeka then I say esi Budumburam bank 540,000 United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime emu. Say people are transferring funds to support it. Politicians are doing it in Nigeria and other places. Until they say stop with the funding fully. But you say prevention of people falling in for terrorism. Preventive, the non-kinetic aspect just say winning hearts and minds of ordinary citizens of any country is the most important thing. So Onkoye part of a terrorist organization.
Now was terrorist in Semi who and Namso a member of parliament Emma Akemoda Honorable Alexander Kwesi Akwa also Edin Simbi ato Ghana by any Musa was Romada one Ghana yen sense semana say ye bambo hun semono ehia ni ye pa esanse eno na beboa ama asumdua ye hia wo my Ghana mu no yensa etumi aka
enadwumedie no ama ye hunu say terrorism and etrutu asemo ayete baby anim say emmen no ebenyen kire say wo hwe Israel Hamas asem ya yemu bi enna ya de bia ni edi akire but bra edru say ye hwe etutu asem and terrorism in West Africa no ye hunu say eniema edeba ene nhihyaye a etimi ma terrorism and etutu asem etimi bado e because we ye memu ha enti no say ebi ewa ha efiase ye adwuma ana sa nhihye wo ho no eye de betimi ama no abaputupuru mu no e wo se yani edi akire na ye hwese betoto niam ye because uhwe all the symptoms the factors atimi ma terrorists thrive no a because we ye mamu ha e because titru do kra ne say ye hwe the difference between good governance and democracy ye me de because we mamu ha so you face your democracy but a governance system not saying say ya hwede antoto niam ye near face your democracy that's a good governance ye hwehwe no ya enya na bad governance wo eno na makwaima etutu asem etimi ba oman mo ntino eye se empani behia ya ye di sankomo ene anopai ye de bekwa adwendwe mu ye wo mra se bedwemu ba ye no ye de bekwa adwendwe mu o hwe oman ni to bi ye de ahye president nsa edunti ne de enko nanso ukọ ye feature ye constituency ye fie mu a ye wo anamo bi a empani a ye de tumi ahye monsa no wo so mutu enne wo hwe galamsem sem no a kwan a ye fa so enye sika sabi eye galamsem sem ni ade e ma sabi sika efo e be di nipa bi nsem ye hwe say eno na one of the means that it me to trust and eba sika wo so obere na wanya enti no say ukofa efom agudie kwam bone so galamsey say wutu efom na wunya sika dodo a ena otibi recruitu nkrofo na on governed spaces edo so one of the factors ene ukochi galamsey din a hwe EPA boss mu a akọ inspection galamsey for timi pamom na security national security ka won kra kasa da bi yen retreat and net soldier for obowo oman mu a ewa dwumakuo naimos a omo fighting galamsey yetimi hold on to hostage by people a omo ye galamsey kro no a sa nyema ne course no nti wo hen bi ni ho nti sofo bi ni ho nti pani bi di ho na wa mayate ne ye course na se nti wo be hwe na da ne ungoverned state wo de ne se e ka wo ma ho na so ntimi nko ho no mo enkonko e enforce o my laws it's as a nipa bi a wo mo benefiting from that act no wo ma wo ho kwan
na se na beto dwa se nipa bi de nkrata akoma mampani se electoral commission ho sa bre eye mami Jane Mensa one na pamfo mienu e ka ne ho no yenye omadi sanso modwuma nso ani sanso na special prosecutor nso wono so yedi bi kosa na no na UTV yebo edi etia Professor Enoch Opoku antwi age na dwenkyere e wo ho na naso mo kan ne se ebiri bi abesenko aban bi efasa kwan na so e Charlotte sai na saa de na oyeye no aye bibi apa kwan de ato wanhwe yi a ebetim de ha beba se abadwuma eni bi eye na adwuma anhwe apetisi kakra bi na enedi ebe ha dwene yepa
ye politics na ye no akoye se MPP wo mo theory NDC wo mo theory na the gap theory nso wo ho I say mfimfin no wan de gina mfimfin samre na ye yi Charlotte say no na omom wa ban mu ye om say oh yenyi no because ase oni yafa na ne de se ye koyi obi nso na se wo na ade ne ba ya obeka say oh ye na ade ne ba enti no akoye politics mi ame mesre eni say se nia penifo se nia na bro e bo kania kwa ma obi bia nwe no ono de atimoden bae nti Charlotte se ade na oye na abeye president ye ka president ya wo mramu a eye nsem na wa obi aya ye hweso nti judges for appeal court ne high court ne supreme court nyina no eye asema atu obi ne se ne edi no ene no mokọ hweso no mo de di asem ene ne ye problem this one say ye yi obi pen through the same petition process nti enei ekoye Jimensa so ne ye koyi no through the same petition process a untumi blame obi for process na fast yi obi no enu an so na bi so fast yi obi nti emre ben ene ye bejae emre ben ne de mra ne be ye adwuma president ne de sebe da kekere ne nsa emra no obi a hyemrase wo mamu from president to the cleaner obi a hyemrase and this enkrofo e Ghana 40 mamofo e de petition abre president na oni hu asem bi aka because constitution article 17 no e hye no say onfa enkodan chief justice no e san say sankrofo we nyina electoral commission two deputies no se ne awokan ye no e wo mra mu no dibi omo wo no e ye mra pe emu ne edijaje wo mo enti omra nso pani se say any chief justice enti ono na betimi advise the president no as to what to do owia ye be hu ba bia ye de poma no e besi na mejidi ese Ghana fo afi ne ye ti emra na se kane no na ye se omo parliament anase nkrofo bi omo di bia kase bi akosu adurachi na esese omo de letter e chiroko na satan kra na chiroko ahwa na ekokan obi fanya enei de ye koye nim ti democracy ni ye ti asese se wo hu article bi ana clause bi ana subsection bi e wo constitution mu na se ene wa bi nya yi a o petition we de kodan president se nipa say na mahu enti no yenyi no na president na hwemranum se ne mra ne ka because yenim say ye beto aba nyina na eye NDC for we say Jimensa or MPP no kra no eno ada hwa ne yaka enti nka ofi say aban foforo no ba ha na onye popular anasa aban no ne mu ani nhia bebra wanka sa resign on resign here and this on resign here dia na say from ye to aba ewie ye December 7th 2024 no ebesi samre na say ye ko afini yisi ni gusi wo ho ne deputy so mo gusi yo madwuma ena nkrofo 7 na petition president ne say ye gidi say omo ni president niam be brown so omo ye to say resetting agenda niam omo ni president ni nya adwen enti president hwehwem
Yebejina we so ne asan ho make ase bono so yesre mu ye basese a.
Adeshimama yebesandra masibio say yakoba ye no moda so atwen ye to aso.
OSP NFA EC cha removal hu nsensem no ene nam so ama governance analyst prof Enoch Opoku entry ene ne wo say emra na ema ho kwan ema o mampani etumi di eyi OSP NFA EC no empanifo nhwe ne wo monye sakraye emfanfa ho
wa menya dia nka article 70 no yensesam baabi se nye president no NSS will electoral commissioner and the 2 deputies. And your president and the recommending office of the special prosecutor. It's answer Obia near where will be compared to Macramawa. Now, I say, Odino. I feel so as Sokoton Toma, Okotobi Binari Cocheno, Sani Amamena Koye. Now, Ubiama were Juma say electoral commissioner and as office of the special prosecutor. Why I'm sure you want to me independent the way I were Juma. It's answer on a wabwao, Edward Koshaho, by your councillor. Aye impartial yes jumana kaneno na ansana shraje beba na your office of the ombudsman nanka ombudsman no office no eboa ma yes ane ma we enti ye hia impartial and as a non-political ye can apolitical institution no be appoint electoral commission na just say politics be anim omwa hu say papa we na juma wa ye as a lawyer from Abia circuit court ababesi high court ababesi appeal court na najuma waye no esoni ya hwe mra wadi nyina no omu atan a ochia no nti ya hwe ne record nyina ese sa papa we ye de ne beye sa electoral commissioner ya obeye adwuma sa na ferijan ye ne nim sa ferijan ye no na on kire so ye NDC ni anase MPP ni but oye na adwuma yie en sa de no na ya hu anase ebinum hu e wo Charlotte se ho anase maame jimensa ho eye binum se menkasete sa eye binum se na omo etwa ekoma aban foforo nti sa aban na ompe na se manase wamwa no ba esese yi no na mom se nyankofo mo ba ya enya aban bi na yi ni dia ene se ontimi meka se we na de ne ba na onye na adwuma yi no nko ye judge ni strictly by na adwuma a oye nti no ontimi perform the functions dia na se okọ isan se adwuma bi a oye no so ye cleaner o ye president o who job description tinkrofo mo no ye adwuma ne nkrofo mo high wo e kire se wo job description wontimi nye wadwuma yi a ye den ye you free ho na niame sense mo maye nye sa institution bia political me expertise nka police council ebe yi omo police aye military for council bia e wo prison council no mo yi prison director e no beboa mo mo adwuma no mo no mo ye omo nim nkrofo e no mo hye adwuma se amodi mo mo bo because obi ahu leader won adwuma ma ohu na kwesa politician na ebe yi dia ono be yi obi a o align to no ebe ya sa na omanfo no anase adwuma na bia na ankoyie but onim se wo support our politics mintino na said you onye na adwuma yie kra na ogusuti ho and no unnecessary guard against as a nation.
Empanifo Bank of Ghana na ekasai omo de futu magana fo nyina se se okwaje besia tua esan se de oba obosia no sika no odane dane ho ode boa ma nso adane dane ho na watumi anya bi kakran so de abobra nti se ye de besia no wa abomode aso betua se na be hofron so e betumi anya bi na mo sikasam no obi ade akoyiye.
Can your friend, sister, colleague who is lending you money or giving you the goods in advance against future payments trust that you will pay them back? That's very important. With increased access clearly comes greater responsibility and accountability, and borrowers must understand the agreements they sign, which is why this workshop is important. Honor the repayment obligations and apply the loans purposefully to strengthen their businesses. So the idea is not to take the loan and to buy the next beautiful car, but is to take the loan and put it in the business. Because if you put that loan in the business, probability that the business will generate more, and out of that you can then buy that beautiful car is very high. But if you take the money and you buy the car, then how does the business grow? And since the car is not a revenue generating asset, how do you then pay back? So it's important that we take the loans and invest them purposefully into our businesses. And this is why sensitization programs such as these are very critical. The Act outlines borrowers' rights, transparency, disclosure, and fairness. but also emphasizes the duties related to repayment responsibilities, lawful use of collateral, and open communication. Sometimes it's through no fault of yours that the venture you invested in didn't turn out the way you expected. If you have an honest conversation with your bank, and most of you who would have borrowed during the COVID era would bear witness that most of the banks restructured. Some of them froze interest. Not all of them did, but at least they restructured the facilities, taking into account the constraints that imposed on all of us. So when both sides of the relationship uphold their responsibilities, the credit system becomes stronger and better for all participants.
Banks now because at that time now development bank my interest at about 10%. But Brana did that one, she saying down one has a credits no. Let's say one kokra. So it is a cheap as compared to say maybe 20% or 30%. 10% is cheap, but the Bunibeka say impediment. The Imbrana to you can't even qualify for that, and so that is the access. So the credit is cheap, but the access to get it is the and then I make sure say in as much as say my basu, so my age my pa, my age my ding, cost to credit number from no. And so the accessibility no. So because in Fasubi knows that they never from now into me and Sanka. Because industries or businesses need that to be able to expand. Business behind here credit alone out there being a human who be a one fashion say who employing for more.
For a Honorable Sadiq Abubakar Nene was say mpuntu a yen sheda enya e wo my Ghana mu ni nyina ne say empanifo anasa okandifo a yen ta enya wo mo e wo my Ghana mu ene nam so mpuntu a ye hwehwede yensa entumi nka dododo na
Mensini krachi pani yo othafo abato ampeswa so ayono nyamfo Sadiq Abubakar wase ye nananom ya wo mokon ye ede wo man Ghana si ho ema ye fa hodie no wo mugya subanpa edi ya na wo mudi empuntuo eba wo man Ghana mu nanso emprempren empanifo a eba ebeto asofiri omo nche no wo mobile no ma mabua kra anka empuntu dwuma ye papa nom eye emre bi atwamu na anka woso moto aso no mobile no mugya ye wo bia ba no no so ye de ope eno na mene Ghana mpuntu nsheda eniho ensami wodi tudwa wa bra na ekuo bi ensha abansia from say Revival Africa and Beyond for a year conference edema empanifo ye wo Kumasi no wa Asante mantem ha na wagina so epa book fufuro bi a watwro nso ho ntoma eno no nyamfo Sadiq Abubakar to aso esre Ghana fo yinasa wo besre pa wo bia enna subanpa edi tichi no say ye de pani die adwumadie bi hya wonsa
wo ba omanmu a on say enyama bebre ajiegu ni na no ejina leadership failure se wo opinion na leader o wotima o wo initiative hu ema oman no ema oman ede ekonkan se wo ga mre bi atwomu a free independence we won say yana nanom edo omumoja eto ema oman that was a leadership quality. Intina edu say so emebu no ebe bi atoaso inti de ye nananom eye no say ye build on that ye ma oman no economy ni na say nya awofama ede be edwuma na ye say edwuma na me ye no me ya manya me ye manipa therefore we need to put structures in place ebe to me aboa ama ye bro no ene ye mantem ni ye mangana ye nya pese echiche na oman no edu be edu no ebe to me edu
no senior pastor your work Grace and Truth Tabernacle International Reverend Samuel Odro and so ni UTV in Central for to train koma wodin sem say tudwa
me hwese ne akani esi kona as ya fremu kakra abakosem so inform ye
Omenso afo a wo hwe mabunu puntu ene odwumadi hu sem so no nyamfo George opare ado ene dey wada app bi de ababeboa ma emabunu ekonbedo so be yekua.
Today is a defining moment in our collective efforts to transform how Ghana serves, supports, and empowers its youth under the broader vision of His Excellency's Reset Agenda. We have committed ourselves to rebuilding systems that are fair, coordinated, transparent, and focused on delivering real outcomes for real young people. This morning, we take a significant step towards that goal. We are here to launch 2 critical national tools. The first is the Youth Explore app and the National Youth Tracker, alongside the Agra-driven Attractive campaign, which encourages young Ghanaians to lead in modern agriculture and innovation. I've always asked myself, why would any young person want to venture into agriculture? Over the years, the picture we have seen growing up is that very old people and poor people are those who find doing agriculture. That is why today we're joining Agra launch Attractive campaign, which encourages young Ghanaians to lead in modern agriculture and innovation. Although the campaign stands on its own, it aligns with our larger national efforts to give every young person a clear path towards skills, opportunity, and meaningful work. And if we head right, every dollar invested in agriculture has a return of $16. We averagely import about $2.2 billion worth of food into this country. So the question I ask is, if young people who want to be rich decide to venture into agriculture, the skies will be our limit, because who is going to stop eating here? AI can take over everything, but it cannot take over the food we eat. So somebody must produce that food for us to be interested in buying it.
Inti Agra ena yeni ministry etna ase ena ye hwehwe mu na ye hu se minister ka se ohia platform bi se inti yeni netna ase ena ye share the technical aspect of developing such a platform. Inya Mwansu Free Mastercard Foundation. Inti ena ye boy. Inti platform we ye sensitization for ministries and any Ministry of Youth and other ministries, any other agencies, sensitization, and a training almost staff. Send your mobile to me a collective data no no last week and say launch but you focus on more in agriculture. You say who say youth are register our platform and so you say who say it etimi abo omo pay adwuma omo etimi enye adwuma omo pay training omo etimi training omo a ebi omo pay ebi a starter packs bi etimi aye adwuma like aban agencies ni ade omo betimi abo ano omo etimi abo omo ana say development partners nso aye adwuma e wo system no mu nso ye betimi abo.
Nkranman time swafo honorable Linda Obenewa Akwele Oklu na ene wode atodwa se bronya ebe yi de bambo ho nsem no so wo mu ebemiemu yie pa.
Traditional council na wo shy osudoku yentumi visit individual councils just because na problems kakra ewo grounds say nyame adum ebie kwan amaye nti wom say wo say member na member de member da omo ase na Christmas ebe so ye ne omunye baako na yentumi ndi Christmas kama Christmas ebe wo say ye ni traditional leaders any MC any MP any aban enye baako na ekro na enye de enye boko nya ye nutia ye pese Christmas ye be di no free ya ye pese ye beti se basabasa ya ko baby anase intine ye ne ahemfufo se be will beef up security omu ya baby a was security form be mu omu kanche security force ye ne omu akasa omu patrol no omu nya de omu intensify the patrol no se na be ya ye be this Christmas kama the street light name so his nyame adom Ministry of Energy akoye baako asese a muhwe krom ha ye light eba all the ceremonial streets within the greater Accra before Christmas there na baby aye there it's light up.
Well, yeah, administrative boundaries, that was 2 boundaries. And I will provide a fair, allow what Gadam with fair, Meneka, eh, yellow chopa, Obanum ye, Coba, Goano. Meneka, any Uchoba, Coba, Tababai. Any mene song. She Wally, okay. A fracture, ma Jeff, me Betty, that is your one. Me quick a hicom, a nibre, booty hip, when they start up and put you. They can advise samba. Now, what papa five, or papa Billy five. I coffee in your way. That was money, Obua Obiana. Okay, the kid that you name Hambo. You open me out.
She like Mukube Sani. No many new say. Ni amekoake la majiache mebe. Alo abe traditional council. No ake la akadile noeja la maye ni la majiache meye. Je la peji mani manche bemi ni ke manche be unupa ye ni kula ma no ni me ko e sa ke o a dissolve council a suspend the council magia cheme ni o je meje me kumina ka ma ka dile no me kenye nuwe nye kenu aka tuni ni nye ba ne nye na aka nye ba magia chema ko yishi
Ejwa ba kwa manfo di dwa ho ye pan edome dwa kase no na kamia se de nipa ne dɔso nti no bekona kwa no ho no amanfo bi di dwa ho maka kwa na bedi no enhyeda entwa ye eno ti UTV ye ne ga east empanyi fa twetwe koma bi so ho sanye bi de no mo ye e de afa ho
bebre was space by omo ano mo akokwan ho koton ade upa mo mo na anopa bebe bo 10 12 no omo asan akọ bebre was space ba ku pe no mo ni baby ti ba mo muti ho no bebre was space wo inside ba mo si inside no ye nto ade nti no mo wo kwan ho ba o wesi e ka kiro mo so mo tumi ba inside a obi pa bibi na obi ani kwan ho so obeba inside abeto ba wo ka bibi a o mo nti nso ye be ne dem ye pen mi so mi tumi nka se mi ko kwan ho se mi yes ase ma fom ra nti e wo se mi set example no bi so ndi e kire bra ya akọ ho wa boko bi ye ne ho aka saa wo mo nti ye ka boko bi fo so wo beba ye ka wase wo beba wo ba no botu wase wo mo nko ene watu aba wie ne wo mo pam ho nsem bebre nti e kwan ho mo asem ne de che mo ampanumfo mo bem
sese wo mo gije ye mpota nyina na wo akogua e kwan ho na ka ebi kura ti free ba no enipa ebi kum ti Ghana yiti e be hwa ma enipa wu ansa na mo stop sa asem ya man ya na space wa hapa bebre na wapata eno meja ho no mo te kwan ho eya no ma betwe ticket amaye so she isade entoshe
na me bu free next week ko assembly no any tax force bets apamo mana wo kwan ho nara akoyisa na enye emana nkwaso enye emana nkwa in fact is ya mu na trotro drivers ni penny phone ni taxi drivers ni pragia penny phone be come also and they are also a part of the problem, especially using the middle of the road sides of the road lisa mara ya mebua next week ya the task force tuesi na enye one day wonder ebe ade ebe tu na kwa ni mada hono because baby amoton ade sabi se ka ku twifa mo so asama ba and the pragia for any students of the road ni middle means na mudi tututu ngofo ka ni nyina no sa di na tu bika nti mefa konya we so obo mo nkaye say if next week eko obi ana no so
Openi kwantrefo a owo Ghana National Gas Company Judith Beth Ablay o say hu behia say Ghana Gas wo mo ebeye investment kese pa ewom se ne ebeye a empuntuo ene ntira wo mo ehia wo ho no wo mo nsa etumi aka.
Ghana Gas is going to develop a framework for our engagement, our future engagement. In that framework, we're going to set up small working groups so that the conversations do not become as broad as we just had, but it will be deeper technical conversations, and then eventually we'll bring it to the bigger table and discuss the findings within the working group. It is in the budget that we're going to build a second gas processing plant. You know, we have a gas master plan in existence in draft, and it's a 2016 document. One of the things we are trying to achieve in that first goal to secure Ghana Gas as an integrated gas company is to ensure that we come back to the drawing table with a gas master plan. We just heard from one of the civil society organizations that his view is that the gas master plan was created in 2016, and between 2016 and now a lot has happened in the gas sector, and therefore we need to bring it back to the table, look at upgrading it or bringing it to current happenings in the midstream gas sector. So there are two kinds of investment in our company, because remember, every company needs to expand, and in expansion you invest. We find ourselves over the past few years that we haven't made any significant addition to Ghana Gas's infrastructure, etc. So in one breath, it's investment in Ghana Gas. And then, of course, if we are operating in the communities, we have to make some significant investment in order to mitigate our social impact, and then also be good corporate citizens. And so that's another kind of investment that we are embarking on.
To encourage the government to do whatever it can to bring on stream the gas processing plant 2, so that they are able to become, as it were, they're able to get economies of scale, they are able to process more, they are able to deliver more to the market. At present, they are doing about 30% of the domestic LPG market, which means that we are importing over 70% onto the market. They are not the majority. So it becomes difficult for them to drive down prices. I think that with the coming on stream of the processor 2, maybe they will become a bit more dominant. Maybe we can pressure them at that point to ensure that they reduce the cost of gas for domestic use. But as it stands now, it looks as though Atuabo, and for that matter, Quantum Sage, is not delivering much. But whatever it is, we from COPEC insist that the gas we produce locally should at all times be cheaper than that which we have brought from across Europe.
Mpanyinfo a wɔn abɛn wɔ apɔmuden nsɛm mu, wɔn esi gyina ɛfa ho, wɔn yɛ hwehwɛmu, ɛne wɔn a ɛbɔ ho dawuro de kyerɛ amansan ɛfa nyarewa ahodoɔ bi te sɛ HIV ɛne ɛnam nyarewa ahodoɔ no, ɛde nsɛm ahodoɔ bi ɛto dwa na kyerɛ sɛ wɔkyena 3 December ya na saa dwumadie no ɛbɛ ɛkɔ so na ɛno na ɔmo kyerɛ sɛ ho behia paa sɛ ne manim ya na ɔkwan bi ɛsɛ yɛfa so na yɛtumi bɔ saa nyarewa ahodoɔ no ho dawuro na yɛtumi da yɛn ho so ɛtwe yɛn ho fi ɔbrasɛ nneɛma ahodoɔ a ɛde saa yare no bɛbrɛ no ɛho ho behia paa na brɛ no nso ara ni.
Since then you have been organizing in Ghana to tackle the scourge of HIV in Africa. And we notice that today is our 33rd edition. 33rd edition means that we break a lot of barriers. Before, you cannot even talk about your statue. Today we can talk about it. Before there were no pills. Today we move from 7, we have 1 pill. And we even have injected hydro. And our prayer at the CASA is that one day we should have a cure. This is why we are hosting the Guinea CASA until we end HIV, because it's possible. For this CASA, we are expecting more than 3,000 people. Normally, CASA is for 4,000, 5,000, 8,000, 15,000. But you can imagine that with this situation, economic situation at the global world, is difficult to organize the CASA, and it's difficult for delegates to come. This is why this CASA will have a maximum of 3,000 delegates.
For the first time, this is a great opportunity and pleasure as a country to showcase what we have in Ghana. And we did this at a strong beat, beating very big countries to bring this CASA to Ghana. And this ICASA coming to Ghana comes just at the time that we just celebrated World AIDS Day. And this ICASA dovetails into that. And the theme for the ICASA just reflects what we need to look at. Because the declining support for HIV, AIDS, TB, and global declining in funding, the theme for this ICASA comes so up that we are catalyzing integrated sustainable response to end HIV, AIDS, TB, and malaria. This is so important because, as Luke said, usually ICASA should expect between 10,000 to 15,000 participants. But because of global decline in funding and global restrictions, this year there are bans on travels. A lot of people can't come because of these restrictions, and therefore we have just a little over 3,000 delegates to come for this year's ICASA. That notwithstanding, it gives us the opportunity to rethink at this ICASA's conference to discuss the issues that are pertinent to us. That we can't leave Africa's destiny to people who fund for us. We must come together and take the sovereignty upon ourselves, as our president said.
Alice mama yada masese munya abre na mohwe ye sori sui mama yemfa aseda ema special eyes this way ni fufu ni tabakwan so musui mu na mo no ye kawo se wo nebusuani nyina se mutwehwe mo sia nopa na nwumira pep student die ni mu ano no ye nim paste bia ka ho bia die niam no pep student tititititi nyina edi ade frɛ no die ti pep student ye papa ne se ye ya che omo de fidie ne niam ahodo a ebebuo nipadua no ese no na omo de aye nti no so do twetwe se a amosi achi na mo ye den wonu mo ye hwam na wo senso eye fitifiti na sa wo sere nso a wasre na kokoduro mu nti ebusu achefo bi afa metwetwe ne se me ni da ja kwabna me ne
nana ekia kobi
ye ne kase bono breda mu nyina se mamumu anehwe